Hi everyone. So I'm going to be going over adjacent angles and how to solve for them and the rules. So an adjacent angle are just two angles that share a vertex and a side but do not overlap. So here we can see this is our vertex. Angle 1 and 2 are adjacent, and angle 2 and 3 are adjacent, but angle 1 and 3 are not adjacent, even though they share a vertex. So like 1 and 2 share a side, 2 and 3 share a side, but 1 and 3 do not share a side. So when we're finding a missing angle measure, we can do so by using adjacent angles. So for instance, we are looking for the measure of angle XYZ right here. Sorry, that's a little bit messy. Let me make that a little bit clearer. We are looking for angle XYZ, which is right here. So the diagram shows that WYX and XYZ are adjacent, and the sum of their measures is 80, as we can see by this. So we want to write an equation where the sum of the two angle measures is equal to 80. And then we're going to use M to mean the measure of. So we know that 56 plus angle X, Y, Z, and we're using M to equal the measure of. We know that 56 plus the measure of angle X, Y, Z equals 80. So essentially, measure of angle X, Y, Z, again, if we're going to isolate that, equals 80 minus 56. So then 80 minus 56 is 24. So the measure of angle X, Y, Z equals 24 degrees. So here we're just gonna go through some examples in case that was a little bit confusing. Here we see we were looking for the measure of J. So we know that these two adjacent angles total are 70 degrees. This one is 30 degrees. So the measure of J, J plus 30 is going to give us 70. So J equals 70 minus 30. Again, if you don't really understand how I got there, it's just going to be minus 30. You're going to subtract both sides by 30. And then 70 minus 30 is 40 equals 40. So J equals 40 degrees. And then here, positioned a bit differently, but still we have two adjacent angles and we need to find the value of J, which is the total. So that's going to be 30 degrees plus 50 degrees equals J. So just going to do 30 plus 50, which is 80. So J is 80 degrees. So these are a little bit simple. You kind of just have to look at what you're trying to solve for and set up your equation that way. This is going to be a little bit more complicated. Here we're going to be finding angle measures with variables. So we want to find the measures of JLK. So this angle, and KLM, which is this angle. So we're trying to find the measure of two adjacent angles. Using the rules we learned in the last couple problems, this will not be too difficult, but basically we see that JLK and KLM, angle JLK and angle KLM are adjacent, and we know the sum of their measure is 100 degrees. So we want to write an equation where the sum of the two angle measures is equal to 100. So we know we're just going to want to add them. So keep our parentheses, 3x plus 30 plus 2x equals 100 degrees. Since we have a variable, the order of operations is not going to apply here. And the first thing we're going to want to do is add our two like numbers together. So 3x and 2x are both attached to the same variable, which means we can combine them. So we will get 5x plus 30 equals 100. And next, again, combining our like variables. So you're going to want to subtract 30 from both sides. We get 5x equals 70. And then you're going to want to divide both sides by 5. So x equals 14. Now, we're not done yet. We have just solved for x, and now we are going to plug in x into both equations to determine what degrees the angles are. So for angle JLK equals 3 and x equals 14. So 3 times 14 plus 30. 3 times 14 is 42 plus 30. 42 plus 30 is 72. So angle JLK equals 72 degrees. You can just put that in right there. And then for angle KLM equals 2 times 14. Oops. Sorry, it's a little messy. 2 times 14, so, and 2 times 14 equals 28. So we know the measure of angle KLM is 28 degrees. And we're going to plug that in right here. And just to check our answers, if you add 72 and 28 together, we get 100. So we know that our math is done correctly. So again, when you're using variables and plugging in for the equation, make sure you don't make the mistake of finishing with the first step. That is just going to be finding the variable. Then you're going to want to plug that in. But once you've mastered these, it shouldn't be too difficult to go on to more complicated problems like this. And just knowing that knowing the sum of the two angles and whatnot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And if you guys have any questions, you can just leave them down below.